Have you ever walked into a room and felt something shift before anyone spoke? Maybe it was a heaviness in the air or a quiet warmth that made you want to stay. Most people rush past moments like that. They're too busy filling the silence, chasing the next word, the next scroll, the next reaction. But the ones who truly understand life, the ones who connect deeply, lead with quiet influence, and earn trust that lasts, they move differently. They don't just look, they see, they notice what others miss. The pause before a smile, the flicker of doubt in someone's eyes, the way a voice changes when the truth gets close. This isn't about guessing what people think. It's about learning to sense what's beneath the surface, to read the room without forcing yourself into it. If you can do that, you carry a kind of power that doesn't shout. It simply is. So let's begin. Stay with me and we'll explore how to read people in a way that changes not just how they see you, but how you see the world. Number 1. Silent power of observation. Have you ever been in a room and felt that you were missing something, like there was another conversation happening just beneath the surface? Most people don't see it. They're too quick to assume, to jump to conclusions, to fill the air with their own thoughts. Yet, as Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, observe constantly. Watch the movements of the stars as if you could run with them. In human terms, that means slowing down enough to truly notice. Observation isn't glamorous or loud. It's a quiet blade, unseen but sharp. I once knew a man who could walk into a meeting and within seconds tell who was confident, who was bluffing, and who was holding something back. He didn't interrupt, didn't rush to impress. He simply watched the restless tapping of a foot, the way someone's voice thinned when they lied, the slight pause before a reluctant, "I'm fine." Over time, people sought him out, not because he spoke the most, but because he understood them without needing much said. To see others clearly, you must first take your attention off yourself. Ask, how do they hold their shoulders? Where does their gaze rest? What makes them come alive? And what makes them retreat? And then turn the same lens inward. Do you grow louder when you feel overlooked? Do you fidget when uncertain? Seneca taught that mastering the self is the foundation of mastering any skill. The more you see your own patterns, the more easily you'll recognize them in others. Observation is not judgment, it is understanding. It allows you to walk into a space and sense who's open to connection and who needs distance, to respond with intention instead of reacting on impulse. Let the world chase the loud game. You play the deep game. And once you can truly see, the next step is to understand, connecting the signals into meaning. That's where social power begins to take form, and that's where we'll go next. Number 2. Reading the unspoken language. There's a strange kind of honesty that lives in the spaces between words. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But those colors rarely show themselves in sentences alone. They bleed through in averted eyes, in the tightness of a jaw, in a pause that lingers half a second too long. To read a person, you must be willing to look past what is spoken and listen for what is leaking through. Imagine a friend saying, "I'm fine," with a flat voice and hands curled tight in their lap. The untrained ear hears the words. The observant one hears the strain. Social intelligence begins in this awareness, reading tone, posture, micro-expressions, and the silences that hang like unasked questions. I once saw a colleague laugh at a joke, but his smile faltered before it reached his eyes. Most would have moved on. Instead, I asked if something else was on his mind. That simple acknowledgement opened a door he hadn't been able to unlock himself. Often, people don't hide their feelings out of malice. They simply don't know how to name them. This is why the wise do not react only to behavior. They address the emotion beneath it. A raised voice may be fear. A cutting remark may be shame. By responding to what's underneath, you earn trust without demanding it. And sometimes the loudest truth is silence. Sit with it. Let it breathe. In that stillness, you create the rare kind of space where people feel seen without having to perform. From there, connection becomes not just possible, but inevitable. And that sets the stage for knowing exactly how to respond when the moment turns tense. Number 3, art of calm communication. Have you ever walked into a room thick with tension, the kind you can almost taste, and felt the urge to speak before you even understood the situation? That's the trap of reaction. A reaction is fast, instinctive, and often born from pride, fear, or frustration. A response is different. It's measured, intentional, rooted in self-control. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In communication, that strength is calmness, not volume. I once saw a manager face a heated outburst from a colleague. Instead of matching the fire, she simply paused, breathed, and asked, "What's really going on here?" The room shifted. Anger softened. The conversation became human again. She hadn't avoided the conflict. She had led it with steadiness. That is the art of calm communication, lowering the emotional temperature so clarity can enter. Calmness is not passive. It's active mastery over your own impulses. You train it by pausing before speaking, breathing before answering, noticing your emotions without letting them drive. When insulted, you don't need to defend every wound. When someone unloads their frustration, you can hold space without making it about you. Your tone becomes your shield, steady, warm, deliberate, because people will always believe your tone over your words. Even silence becomes a tool. You don't rush to fill it, because silence gives depth and space for truth to surface. And calmness doesn't mean surrendering your boundaries. You can say, "That doesn't work for me," with grace, or walk away from disrespect without leaving chaos behind. Each time you do, you teach others how to treat you. To respond with power is to speak from a place no one else controls. You become unshakable in storms, and your presence alone begins to influence the room. In the next chapter, we'll look at how this inner steadiness lets you read the emotions beneath behavior, guiding you to lead, connect, and inspire at a deeper level. Number 4. Emotional awareness and insight. Have you ever looked at someone's actions and felt certain there was more beneath the surface, something unseen shaping every word, every choice? Seneca once wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That change begins with seeing the true forces at work in others, their emotions. Beneath every conversation, every decision, there is a feeling guiding it, sometimes loudly, often quietly. Even the most logical person is moved by unseen tides of love, fear, anger, sadness, joy, or shame. I remember working with a man who could turn any serious moment into a joke. At first, people thought he was carefree, even charming. But the more I watched, the more I sensed the humor was armor, built over years to shield him from pain he wasn't ready to face. Once you notice patterns like this, you stop taking behavior at face value. A sharp remark becomes less about you and more about their stress. A cold silence might be fear of rejection. An arrogant posture could be a crown worn over deep insecurity. Emotional awareness is not about excusing behavior, it's about understanding it. Sometimes you'll discover the emotion isn't about you at all. Other times it is. And in those moments, wisdom demands humility, to reflect on your own tone, timing and words without rushing to defend. You cannot read others if you remain blind to yourself. Most people have been taught to hide their emotions, to be strong, to get over it. But emotions are not enemies. They are messengers, pointing to what matters, what hurts, and what needs healing. When you learn to listen to them in yourself, you begin to see them in others without fear or judgment. This awareness gives you a rare power, not to manipulate, but to meet people where they are. People don't want to be judged. They want to be known, to feel safe without explaining every detail. If you can offer that, seeing their truth without flinching, you become unforgettable. And once you understand what drives people, the next step is to learn how to listen in a way that transforms that understanding into lasting connection. Number 5, the gift of listening. Have you ever spoken to someone and felt they were only waiting for you to stop so they could start? That is not listening. True listening, the kind Marcus Aurelius might have called attending to the present moment, is a rare act of presence. It is not passive silence. It is a full-body, full-heart attention that tells another human being, "You matter here." When you listen like this, you give a gift that can't be faked. I remember a friend once telling me he was just tired. Most would have nodded and shared their own fatigue, but something in his tone felt heavier than his words. I leaned in, kept quiet, and let the silence stretch. After a pause, he whispered, "It's not work. I just don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore." The truth surfaced, not because I had the perfect question, but because I made space for it to emerge. That's the power of listening, not to reply, but to understand, to feel. Listening has layers. At the surface, we hear words while our mind drifts. Deeper, we engage actively, eye contact, nods, brief affirmations. Deeper still is empathetic listening, where we feel the undercurrent of emotion, catching the pauses, the tremors, the weight behind the phrases. And, at its rarest, soulful listening, where your presence alone becomes a safe place, free of judgment or hurry, allowing the other person to unfold in their own time. In conflict, this gift becomes transformative. Instead of meeting accusation with defense, you listen for the truth beneath the words. "You never care" might really mean "I feel alone." Hearing that changes everything. You respond to the wound, not the weapon. Sometimes the most powerful act is to hold the silence when words fail, letting someone know you are there without pressure. Listening is not a soft skill. It is strength, leadership, connection. It turns conversations into bridges and strangers into allies. And once you've mastered it, the next step is knowing the questions that open hearts even wider. That's where we go next. Number 6, asking better questions. Have you ever been asked a question so honest, so unexpected, that it stopped you in your tracks, not because it was clever, but because it touched something you'd never voiced? Seneca once said, "If you would judge, understand." And understanding often begins not with answers, but with the right questions. A well-timed, genuine question can open a heart, unearth a hidden story, or help someone see themselves more clearly than before. Most people ask questions for information. The socially intelligent ask to connect. They are not prying for gossip or drama. They are saying, "I care enough to want to know the real you." Shallow questions lead to shallow connections. But gentle, patient, And sincere questions can create moments people remember for a lifetime. I once sat with a colleague who seemed restless. Instead of asking, "Are you okay?" I asked, "What's been weighing on you lately?" He paused, looked down, and began sharing a chapter of his life no one else knew. It wasn't the complexity of the question, it was the invitation it carried. Good questions aren't about sounding wise. They come from genuine curiosity, the kind that feels safe, not interrogating. Timing matters. You don't ask for someone's deepest truth in the middle of shallow moments. You wait, you sense, you offer space. And sometimes the question you ask sits with them for days before they return with the answer. That patience is part of the gift. The true magic often comes in the follow-up. You've been overwhelmed. With what, if you're willing to share? This is how conversations deepen, by staying present, staying curious, staying human. Your tone matters too. "Why didn't you tell me?" can sound like blame, while was something holding you back? Feels like care. The difference is everything. When you ask with presence and hold the silence afterward, you give people room to find their real answer. In doing so, you're not just helping them share, you're helping them discover. And once a person trusts you with that part of themselves, the next step is learning how to protect it. That's where trust begins, and where we'll go next. Number 7, building trust through presence. Have you ever met someone whose presence alone made you feel safe? No speeches, no performance, just a steady calm that said, "You can breathe here." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself, and nowhere is that truer than in trust." Real trust doesn't come from perfect words. It grows from consistent actions, quiet reliability, and the way you make people feel without having to explain yourself. Trust builds slowly, like roots beneath the soil, hidden, steady, patient. It lives in small moments, a glance that reassures, a pause that gives space, a word spoken gently, or even the wisdom to say nothing at all. I think of a friend who, during my most difficult season, didn't try to fix me with advice. He simply sat beside me, silent, steady, and present. That silence spoke more than any comfort he could have scripted. People trust those whose energy is stable. If you're warm one day and cold the next, they protect themselves. But if you remain grounded, even in chaos, they know they can lean on you. This doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being honest without being erratic. "I'm not okay right now," said calmly, is more trustworthy than pretending everything's fine. Silence, when it comes from presence and not avoidance, can be a powerful bridge. It tells the other person they have time, that you're not here to dominate or rush them. And when you keep the promises you make, especially the small ones, trust compounds. Show up when you say you will. Protect what's told to you in confidence. Never turn someone's pain into a story for others. You don't need grand gestures. Sometimes it's holding the door, noticing someone's mood shift, or checking in with no agenda. Over time, these quiet acts make you the person people turn to in storms. That's the kind of trust that lasts. If you value this kind of strength, type steady in the comments and join this journey. Subscribe so we can keep building it together. In the next chapter, we'll explore boundaries, the lines that protect both trust and connection. Number 8, boundaries that protect connection. Have you ever said yes when your whole being whispered no? We often believe connection means endless giving, that to be loved, we must always show up, always help, always sacrifice. But Marcus Aurelius reminded us, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. Without boundaries, we trade our peace for approval, and that trade slowly empties us. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out. They are bridges built with clarity, allowing respect to flow both ways. A boundary can be as simple as, "I need some time alone," or "I'd rather not talk about this right now." These aren't acts of rejection, they are acts of self-respect. I once knew a man who said yes to every request until his days were consumed by tasks that weren't his. When he finally began saying no, calmly, without anger, his relationships changed. Some drifted away. Others deepened because his yes now meant something real. Social intelligence means staying close to others without abandoning yourself. True strength is saying, "I care for you, but I can't do this at the cost of my mental health." Guilt often shadows these moments, whispering that you're selfish. But love without boundaries becomes control. Care without rest becomes resentment. You do not have to break to keep others whole. Boundaries also make you safer to be around. People trust those who are steady, who won't explode from hidden resentment or disappear from burnout. When you are clear, others can relax. They know where they stand. Start small. Choose one area where you feel drained, decide what you need, and state it with calm certainty. Love with boundaries says, "I want closeness, but not at the cost of respect. I want to love you and still love myself." That is the ground where real connection grows. And as we move forward, we'll explore how emotional regulation keeps you steady inside the space your boundaries create, so you can respond with wisdom even when emotions run high. Number 9, mastering emotional control. There is always a fragile space, a heartbeat's pause before you speak or act, small but powerful enough to decide the fate of what comes next. In that moment lies the choice between reaction and wisdom. The Stoics remind us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Emotional control is not the absence of feeling. It is the art of holding your emotions without handing them the reins. Picture this. Someone criticizes you in front of others. Heat rises in your chest, your jaw tightens. The urge to fire back is strong, but you breathe. You let the wave pass, and instead you say, calmly, "Can we discuss this in private later?" The room shifts. Your power remains intact. Control begins with breath, with knowing your triggers, with naming your emotions honestly. I feel dismissed. I feel misunderstood. In naming them, you strip away their grip. Sometimes it means stepping away from the heat, not out of weakness, but out of care for your peace and for the bond at stake. Even when you stumble, repair matters more than regret. I spoke from emotion, not truth, you admit. This humility builds trust faster than defensiveness ever could. And over time, people feel your steadiness. They know you won't erupt or retreat, that you can face tension without destroying bridges. You become, in a noisy world, the rare presence that calms the air. Once you master yourself in the storm, you are ready for the next art, quiet influence, the power to lead without force. Number 10, leading through quiet influence. Picture a leader who doesn't need to raise their voice, yet the room shifts when they arrive. Their influence is not built on control or force, but on the steady weight of their presence. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "The best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer." In leadership, the best way to guide is not to overpower, but to live so clearly in alignment with your values that others naturally align with you. True influence flows from calm consistency, from integrity that doesn't waver when tested. Think of a mentor who shaped you, not because they were the loudest, but because their actions matched their words. They modeled what they hoped to see. If they wanted respect, they gave it first. If they sought honesty, they practiced it without compromise. They led without declaring themselves a leader. Quiet influence is born from this kind of example. Action over speech, steadiness over spectacle. It is also sustained by intention. Influence rooted in ego will always feel hollow. But when your motive is to serve, to help others grow, people lean in. You can guide not only through answers, but through questions that open thought instead of closing it. What do you think matters most here? Or how would you handle this if the roles were reversed? These questions don't trap, they invite. Your energy too speaks long before you do. Enter a space grounded and sure, and people feel steadier in your presence. Give feedback without shaming, and you earn the right to be heard again. Hold silence when everyone else rushes to speak, and your restraint gains more weight than any hurried opinion. Quiet influence is not passivity. It is the discipline to let your actions carry your voice, to lead without demanding followers. And when misunderstandings inevitably arise, this same calm presence becomes the bridge, turning conflict into deeper trust and tension into a chance to lead with grace. Number 11, turning conflict into connection. There's a silence after a sharp exchange, a space where pride wants you to turn away, but wisdom asks you to lean in. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In conflict, the best victory is not in winning the argument, but in protecting the bond. Every relationship, no matter how strong, will meet friction. The question is never whether tension will arise, but whether you will let it harden the distance or use it to build deeper understanding. Most retreat into three patterns. They explode, they withdraw, or they pretend nothing happened. All three bury the wound instead of cleaning it. True repair starts when you see the relationship, not the point, as the prize. Imagine someone accuses you unfairly. Your chest tightens, your tongue sharpens, but you pause, you breathe, and you say, "Can you tell me more about how you're feeling?" In that moment, you move from defense to dialogue. You refuse to match chaos with chaos. Conflict is rarely just about words. It's about what lies beneath them. "You don't care about me" may mean "I feel forgotten." "You're always judging me" may hide "I feel ashamed." Listen there. Respond to the feeling, not the sting. And when your own part is clear, be it a sharp tone or an impatient reply, own it. "That wasn't my intention. I can see how it landed, and I'm sorry." Ownership does not shrink you. It strengthens you. After the storm, return. A quiet note, a soft "I'm here," a willingness to revisit the hard talk. These gestures rebuild what pride would let die. And if the other person isn't ready, patience becomes your ally. Give space without closing the door, and when they walk back through it, meet them without debt collecting. Conflict is not the failure. The failure is letting ego or fear keep the wound open. When you pause, breathe, listen, and repair, you turn tension into trust. And trust, once reforged, becomes stronger than before, ready to steady not just a person, but an entire room when your presence must guide it. Number 12, reading the room with presence. You step into a room, and before a single word reaches you, something in the air speaks first. The Stoics remind us to observe without judgment, for the world often reveals itself in subtler ways than speech. To read the room is to sense the currents beneath conversation, the flicker in someone's eyes, the way laughter strains, the heaviness that settles though no one names it. Every group carries an unspoken rhythm, and the one who feels it shapes it. Notice the quiet one in the corner, the voice that leans forward only to be cut off, the momentary glance exchanged across the table. This is not suspicion, it is attention. Patterns emerge: who holds the floor, who fades into shadow, where tension sits like a stone, where ease flows freely. To navigate this well is not to perform for the room, but to become its steady center. Imagine a meeting where one voice keeps getting drowned out. You catch it, and with a calm tone you say, "I'd like to hear what she was about to say." A small sentence, yet it shifts the energy, returning dignity without demanding the spotlight. This is leadership without the need to dominate. Reading the room also means feeling the emotional temperature, whether it's light and warm or tight and guarded. Sometimes your role is to slow the pace, sometimes to lighten the air, sometimes to acknowledge the tension so it can dissolve. You adapt, not by abandoning yourself, but by aligning your presence with what serves the space best. Even silence holds its own language. In a difficult moment, quiet may signal discomfort, fear, or unspoken truth. You can honor it without rushing to fill it, naming it gently if needed, allowing space for what is real to surface. When you bring grounded energy into a group, it ripples outward. Calm steadies chaos, attentiveness invites respect, and restraint inspires trust. Reading the room is less about control than about connection, about knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when your stillness says enough. And when you master that, you carry the compass into any gathering, ready for whatever the next space demands. Number 13, adapting without losing yourself. There are days when you'll walk into a room full of strangers and feel the air shift. Different cultures, different tempers, different rhythms. In those moments, adaptability is the quiet art that turns uncertainty into connection. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, adapt yourself to the life you have been given, and truly love the people with whom destiny has surrounded you. But adaptation is not surrender. It is bending without breaking, moving without losing your center. Picture yourself as a tree, roots sunk deep in your values, the trunk as your unshakable character, and branches that sway with the wind. You can adjust your tone for a grieving friend, shift your pace for a tense meeting, or offer lightness in a heavy room. This is not performance, it's presence tuned to the moment. Once, I watched a man enter a silent, tense gathering. He didn't force cheer or command attention. He matched the stillness, then slowly eased the air until conversation returned. He left unchanged in essence, yet he shaped the space around him. That is adaptability with integrity. The danger lies only in wearing a mask instead of a hat. A hat serves the moment. A mask hides who you are. Adapt not from fear, but from choice. Speak in ways others can receive without altering your truth. And when the room empties, return to yourself, reflect, reground, remember your roots. The strongest influence comes from those who can meet others where they are, yet remain entirely who they are. And that is where we step next, into the space where rejection and judgment test the strength of that self. Number 14, staying confident amid judgment. There will be days when you walk into a room and feel the invisible wall, eyes that glance but don't welcome, words that carry a sharp edge, or the quiet sting of being overlooked. The Stoics remind us, what is outside your control is neither to be feared nor to be chased. Rejection and judgment are part of the human landscape. They do not strip you of your worth unless you surrender it. Often, what we fear in rejection is not the loss of approval, but the loss of belonging. We are wired to connect, so when someone distances themselves or labels us unfairly, it touches something ancient in us. But pause and ask, Are they truly seeing you, or only a reflection of their own fears? A confident voice might be mistaken for arrogance, a firm boundary for selfishness, silence for coldness. These are not truths. They are perceptions shaped by another's wounds. To belong to yourself is to stand steady when the crowd turns away. It's the quiet conviction that your value is not measured by applause. Even in the face of cold shoulders or whispered criticism, you can ask, was I honest? Was I respectful? Was I true to myself? If the answer is yes, you have nothing to retreat from. Criticism, too, must be sifted. Some is a gift for growth. Some is mere noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply the same to what you receive. If it carries truth, let it refine you. If not, let it pass without lodging in your heart. Remember, those who judge often project what they cannot face in themselves. You need not carry their weight. In a world quick to misread, hold your voice steady. Speak with care. Act with integrity, and the right people will recognize your light. Rejection will still come, but it will no longer shake you. And from this steadiness, you are ready to learn the art of building connections that endure beyond any single moment. Number 15, creating lasting connection. Long after words fade, what remains is the feeling you leave behind, the quiet assurance of being seen, heard, and valued. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." Connection is not a single spark. It's a steady flame, built through repeated acts of honesty, kindness, and presence. People trust what is consistent. If your warmth flickers, they guard themselves. If you appear only when it suits you, the bond thins. But when you return, again and again, not perfectly, but sincerely, you become the rare constant they can lean on. Attention is sacred in a distracted world. When you put down the phone, meet someone's eyes, and give them the moment entirely, you tell them, without words, you matter. The same truth lives in the small gestures, remembering their struggles, checking in unprompted, noticing when their spirit is low. True bonds also need vulnerability, the courage to be real, to risk being misunderstood, yet remain open. And when friction comes, as it will, lasting connection chooses repair over retreat. A simple, "I didn't handle that well, but I still care," can stitch trust back together. Mutual growth deepens the roots. You walk with those who challenge and uplift you, trading support in both directions. Space, too, has its role, trusting that distance doesn't dissolve care, and grace reminds you to see the whole person, not just their worst day. In the end, connection that endures is not about constant contact, but about creating a space where both can breathe, speak truth, and rest in the safety of being fully themselves. That is the legacy worth leaving. Every true connection we build becomes part of a legacy that never fades. What you have heard today is not an ending, but an invitation to live with deeper awareness. Step forward with presence, respond with care, lead with quiet strength. If this message resonates, subscribe and continue walking this path with us. Share your thoughts in the comments with just 2 words: stay aware. Remember, each moment you choose presence over impulse, you shape a life of clarity. The next lesson awaits.